Hello everyone, welcome to First Chapter Fridays again here with the library. My name is Annette, and before I get into this week's chapter, I'd like to give you a little bit of information about the author. His name is Henry Winkler, but back in between 1974 and 1984, he was on a television program called Happy Days. And his character was Arthur Fonzarelli. He was known as Fonzie, and this is a picture of the Fonz from his television show. He went on in adulthood to become continued to be an actor. He also worked in theater. He worked in movies. He went on to produce and do a lot of things in his adulthood. When he became an adult, his childhood came back to haunt him because they were always telling him that he wasn't living up to his potential, he wasn't working up to his potential, if he would just focus on what he was doing. And he had a terrible time when he was in school, mostly with reading. So when his third grade son needed some testing because he was also having some learning issues, that was when Henry Winkler found out at the age of 31 that he was dyslexic, and got a diagnosis to tell him what his issues were, and it continues today, and he still has problems with reading. So it was surprising that when he became an author, but to do that as an adult, he collaborated with, and that means he worked with another author by the name of Lynn Oliver, and they became working together, and they came up with the Here's Hank's series. And the thing about the Here's Hank series, in the front of the book, it will show you. Interesting part about the books that they've written together is the font that it is written in, and it is a dyslexic font for people that have dyslexia. And if you don't know what dyslexia is, it's when words, letters, numbers, and symbols all get mixed up. So if you're looking at the word hot, to me and to you it may look like H-O-T, but to someone that has this learning issue, it may be H-T, or it might be T-H, or it might have a 5 in the middle of it. So this particular font helps people read on an easier and not frustrating level. So the first book that we're going to read in this series, in the Here's Hank series by Henry Winkler and Lynn Oliver, it is illustrated by Scott Garnett and is published by Grosset and Dunlap, an imprint of Penguin Books. And the title of the book is Bookmarks Are People Too. Chapter 1. "Hank Zipser, please stop talking," Mrs. Flowers said to me. "Good citizens don't talk when the teacher is talking." "But I didn't say anything, Miss Flowers." "Hank, I saw your lips moving with my very own eyes." "But no sound came out, Miss Flowers, so technically I wasn't talking." "Then what exactly were you doing?" "I was sending a signal." The other kids in the class laughed, which made me feel great. I wasn't trying to be funny, but it's always nice to get a laugh. My grandfather, Papa Pete, always says laughter is good, but not as good as a pickle. We both are big pickle fans. "And to whom were this so-called signal being sent?" Miss Flowers asked. "To me," Frank Townsley called out. "Frankie and I have been the best friends since we were babies. We have a whole system of signals. We can talk without saying a word," I told Miss Flowers. "Oh, really?" she said. "That's very unusual." "There was this time at the Museum of Natural History," Frankie went on. "It was amazing. Hank and I both decided to roar right in a T-Rex's face at the very same moment." "It was awesome," I added, "until the guard told us there was no roaring allowed in the museum." I laughed, and everyone joined in. Miss Flowers chuckled too. She's really nice about laughing. Everyone at PS 87 wants her for second grade because she's in a good mood almost all of the time. She even gave me a nice try when I only got 2 out of the 10 right on my spelling test last week. "Well, Hank, since you're so expert at roaring and signaling," she said to me, "you're going to love our next class project." "I can hardly wait to hear what it is. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat," I said. "I can hardly wait for you to fall off," Nick McKelty shouted from the desk behind me. Nick McKelty, better known as Nick the Tick, never has a nice word to say about anyone. But he's always getting away with it because he's almost 12 feet tall, in every direction. "That's enough, Nick," Miss Flower snapped, putting her hands on her hips. But McKelty didn't seem to care that she was angry. He just went back to what he always does, rolling spitballs to launch at the little kids during recess. "Next week is Children's Reading Week," Miss Flowers went on. "We will be celebrating by putting on a play. I wrote it myself. It's called A Night at the Library." Katie Sperling put up her hand and waved it around. "Can I be the star?" she asked. "My daddy always tells me I'm the one anyway." "Everyone will have a part," Miss Flowers said. "Even me?" Luke Whitman asked with his finger up his nose. "Yes, even you, Luke. I wondered if there was a part in the play for a champion nose picker." Luke Whitman would get that one for sure. "I think we all know who's going to be the star," McKelty shouted out. "The one with the most talent, and that would be me." Then, for no reason at all, he stood up and bowed and let out one of his snorty laughs. No one else joined in. "I'm now going to pass out the script," Miss Flowers said, motioning for McKelty to sit down. "Read the play over this weekend and decide on which part you'd like." I felt worried, really worried. Regular second grade reading is hard for me. Reading a whole script would be nearly impossible. Frank saw my face and sent me our "don't worry" signal. I relaxed right away because I knew he would help me. Frankie is an excellent reader. Over the winter break, he read a 200-page book that didn't even have pictures. "We will hold auditions on Monday," Miss Flowers told us. "That's when you can each try out for the part you want." Even though I knew Frankie would help me, I was starting to get very nervous. "You'll have to study your lines and be very prepared," Miss Flowers continued. "Does anyone have any questions?" As usual, I had many questions. Also, as usual, I was too embarrassed to ask them. So I did what I usually did. I made a list in my head. That's the first chapter in Bookmarks Are People Too. If you'd like to check it out to see what happens to Hank and his best friend, just come by the library and pick them out. I would also like to inform you that Henry Winkler and Lynn Oliver have written 3 series that we have at the library, and some of them are also available on Hoopla. The first one is the one that we're reading from. This is Here's Hank. You have several books in that one. He also has another series called Ghost Buddies that tells silly, scary stories, which you all might be interested in at this time of the year. And then the big one is Henry Zipser. And here are all of the books in that series. So if you'd like to check some of those out and see what kind of antics he and his friends get into. Thank you. Stay safe. We'll see you at a later day on another Friday.